Welcome everyone to another CTC software webinar. My name is Chris Berkshire, Director of Technical Services here at CTC. And today we are going to highlight a new feature within Schedule Excel that we are very excited about and we've been working very hard on for some time. And so today we're discussing the new feature for importing Microsoft Word documents into your Revit projects using Schedule Excel. Before we begin with the presentation, though, I want to encourage everyone to ask questions using the questions panel. If you are attending the live presentation, I will be monitoring that and will answer questions in line or at the end if I miss it for whatever reason. If you are watching the recorded version on our YouTube channel, ask your questions in the comment section. We monitor those as well, and we'll make sure you get an answer to said questions. With that said, let's get after it. So at CTC, we are constantly working to enhance our tools and make improvements to them based off of customer feedback. And one of the larger requests we've had recently is the ability to import Word files into Revit. And so we were listening and we've done it. We now have that ability. And today we're going to show you how that works. Now and we're just going to focus on that. And we've added it to the Schedule Excel app. And so we're just going to show you where things live within the Schedule Excel interface and what the options are, how it works, and how to set up your document or how to set it up, Schedule Excel, to bring your documents into a Revit project. And then at the end of the day, if you don't have a copy of it, how to get it. If you do have it, but you want the update, how you can get your hands on that. So with that said, we'll just jump right into it. So it's part of the Schedule Excel product, which is part of our CTC BIM suites, for those of you that aren't terribly familiar. And within the Schedule Excel app, many of you probably already know what Schedule Excel is, but for those of you that don't, its original purpose was to help you bring an Excel spreadsheet into a Revit schedule view or a Revit drafting view. And if you want more information on that, there will be another webinar coming up in a few weeks that discusses that, or you can go to our YouTube channel and check out the videos about Schedule Excel there. Today, we're just focusing on the new feature for importing Word documents. So we have a new button here called Add Document and a new tab where your documents will get listed. And we're just going to start off by showing you how this works. So I'm going to hit Add Document, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab a quick file here. Click Open. And what it's going to do as it's going along, it's scanning the Word document. It's opened it up in the background. It's scanning it. It's finding all of the different fonts styles used and the sizes used within those fonts. If there's any numbered lists, bulleted lists, tables, images, and it's stitching that all together. Now, and then it's going to paste it into the drafting view. So if there is a table, it's got to draw some lines. If there is an image, it needs to get the size and maintain the relationships and whatnot, and it's going to paste it right in there. Now, here it is. So it brought in my document, as you can see there, and this is it. So it's just a very relatively basic document. There's not a whole lot to it. I'll just go ahead and close this real quick just to point out some of the things that we've noticed about it. There's some differences in the formatting. So there's some bold text, there's regular text, there's it's got the numbers in there, and it's going to maintain the spacing and the formatting. So if I pull the Word doc up over here, and you can see right up, well, let's do that again. It's maintaining visual appearance. So you should be getting virtually the exact same thing that you had in Microsoft Word inside of Revit in the drafting view that you brought in. So if you had underlines, bold text, italicized text, you change the color of a piece of text or a sentence, or just the title of something, that's okay. All those colors should be maintained when being brought in. And the sizing should be consistent across the board as well. And what's happening is we're just, for any unique font style, you get a text style for that. So in my case, I think I have 2 that should have been brought in. And you can see right here, if I select this, it'll tell you what font style and the point size that is being used for these. So it's pretty slick in how that's working. Now, if you make a change to the Word file, so if I go back to this and just add something quick and save it, just like with Excel files, you can come back into Schedule Excel and run the update. And it will make the update happen, okay? Now, before I run that update, since I'm here, I wanna talk about how to set up some of the options, okay? There are some new additional options here that help you determine what the base point size is for the scaling moving forward, okay? So what we've had to do to try to simplify this as much as possible is we have figured out what the size of the Microsoft Word text is at 1 inch in points, right? So when you're in a Word document and you're trying to specify how big your text is, you're doing it in points. So we scaled that up to figure out how many points it is at 1 inch per these fonts here. Now, when you enter that in and you bring it back into your Revit project, and at the scale of the drafting view here, it's scaling it down and telling you exactly what that turns into. So if I go, actually, this was Aptos 12. So at 1 inch, that's 110 points, but I needed it to be a 12 point, right? So if I select edit type here, it's done the math and told me it's a 7/64 inch font at this point, right? So it did the backwards math conversion to get it to be Revit text size, so that when I do drag and drop onto a sheet, it's going to print and look the same and consistent across the board with all of the other Word fonts that I put in there. Now, you can figure out what you need for other fonts if yours is not in that list. This is that's what I showed you there in options, is the default list. When you install the new version of the BIM suites, specifically BIM Project Suite, with the Schedule Excel update, you will have these font sizing options already in place so that you don't have to worry about figuring out what some of these are, right? And these are what we thought might be the most commonly used ones. And by default in Word products and Excel, oftentimes these are what some of the defaults are. So if you're using some of the product defaults, you should be in good shape. But if you needed to add another one, you can just check the box, type in the font name that you're looking for. Let's say it was Helvetica, right? Helvetica. And I can't, that's not how you spell that, Helvetica. And if you knew what that point size was at, say, at 1 inch, you could type that in right now. And I don't have, so I think it's at, if I remember correctly, it was about 106. It might be 105, actually. And then you just click OK, and now that's part of your setup. All right. So because I made a change, I should just be able to click update with it selected, and it's gonna reopen the file, scan it, and start pulling in the updates. And while that's loading in, there's a question did roll in. Does that bring in font types for all the variations, or if it's just bold, does it use the bold? Yes, I think that can be an instance thing, right? Yes. So what it should be doing is it's going to bring in a new style, a new text style in Revit based on the font used and the point size being used. If it's bold or italicized or underlined, right? Those are all instance-based properties within Revit. So we're just enabling those and allowing you to put in bold or italicized or whatever font. You don't have to create a new type for that. And since you don't have to in Revit, we're not making you do that with our app either. So there we have it. Number 9, need to update this. So the update works. and it's just a matter of making sure that you have access to the saved instance of the file, which if you're using, obviously if you brought it in yourself, you're going to have access. So I've done a pretty simple one with just with just kind of a standard Word file, but it does support ones with images in it. It'll support Word docs that have tables in it. If you have numbered lists or bulleted lists or a combination thereof, you're going to get this matching results. And I have a couple of examples that I want to bring in as this is cooking. And then I have another file that I'll switch over to that has additional examples present. So here we are. This is just a simple, small Word file, but it has a bulleted list with different steps. It has the image file associated with it. It's got even some additional markups in it as well. I thought it was a good example showing how deep the formatting can go and have it all working out as it's supposed to. Another question, does the second or third bullet indents format, is it going to line up with MS's Word as well? Yes, it should, absolutely, right? Second, third, fourth, if it changes, if you're doing a numbered list and it changes from numbers to letters to Roman numerals, back to numbers, and so on and so forth, that should all line up as well. You shouldn't have to do any special formatting inside of Microsoft for Revit, right? We're effectively just copying and pasting the information into your project. Is there potential in future updates to map fonts from the Word document to Revit fonts, or do you foresee this approach remaining moving forward? It's very early in the process for us, and we still have a number of features that we would like to incorporate. And I know that we've had this discussion multiple times in the past, and it's certainly not off the table, because we've had requests as part of the original submissions of requests for this to have fonts, whatever the font is inside of the Microsoft document, use what I have already defined inside of Revit. So being able to map those things, I think, would be a huge benefit to some. So it's certainly on the table, or not off the table, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in another document here quick that has a table in it. This is just my abbreviations list, a truncated version of it so that it'll fit on a small like 8.5 by 11 sheet. But and while that's cooking, are the text brought in as separate lines or as one solid block? It depends on if there's any change to the fonts themselves. So we are trying to keep things as consistent as possible. So in some cases, you will end up with single line text, and in some cases, you will end up with a nice big paragraph. A lot of the stuff I'm bringing in right now has a lot of different numbered formatting or bulleted formatting, so it's been coming in as individual lines of text. And this one's again now broken up by a vertical line, so it's going to be separated. But you may end up with a combination of that. Certainly, it's going to be multiple notes, sets of notes, and not just one big massive document. Then there was another one here. I'm going to switch over to this other Revit project too here. But you can see before I do that, this table has the lines. Oops, you can still edit those, but I'm in a drafting view, so you need the line work, so it's nice and drawn in for us there. If I switch over to this other Revit file here quick, got a couple of other options there here. So here's that same table, except the whole thing. I think the sample I just brought in was just this top little section here, but here's the full table. I didn't parse it out to split it apart or anything like that. Here's the same table, but I did it with just text, and just to show you what it would look like if you decided if it was just a lengthy abbreviations list like that. So, and then here's some colors adjusted. And again, these are broken out into separate lines like this simply because of how the document itself was formatted. And now here, to go back to that previous question here, instead of each individual line, I do get paragraphs of notes So it's not all an individual line. It just really depends on what some of the line spacing is. Is it consistent across the board? Is it indented in because of the numbering or the bulleting? So there's a lot of different variables there at play. And let's see, I had another one here with the step numbers. I got a nice blue document here with everything in it. But you can see we got the numbers, the letters, the Roman numerals, and then back, and it's picking it all up quite nicely. And this is exactly how my Word document was formatted, with this kind of faded bluish grayish color, and then my nice big poppin' blue text. Let's see, we have another question here. Is each line of text a separate box or the full string of a bulleted item? So it's not so it would be the full string of that item. As long, right? Well, unless it's way far down, then in some cases we did have to break it up into multiple lines, just so we can make sure we maintain some of the spacing and the larger indents here. So, and then let me see. I thought I had one more that I wanted to show that I had already done. Oh, this one didn't get. Nope, that was it. So, and I'll just kind of go back to setting it up again. Back over here where I've made some changes. We'll walk through it one more time. Within Schedule Excel, I'm just going to go ahead and bring in, I got one more document that I'll actually just show you coming in. And before I do that, we'll switch back over to the document tab. And it's this stepped one. So I'm just going to bring that in. And again, if you needed to make changes to the document, go for it, make those changes, just go ahead and select that file and hit update. It knows if it's up to date or not, just like it does in Excel. It tells you where it's located in case you weren't the one that initially linked it in or imported it in. And if you notice something doesn't quite look right, like maybe it's the wrong font or it's too big or too small, chances are the font that you are using in that Word document is not part of your options. So just make sure you type a little bit out inside of your Word file, print it at it so that it's sized to 1 inch, and then just measure it and put those options and you'll be good to go. That's how we verified a number of our options for the defaults here, as we physically printed those out to scale, to 1 inch, and measured to get the point sizes. So, but, and I haven't mentioned this yet, but if you've got certain borders and document spacing on the left and the right, top, bottom, it's going to inherit that. It'll use that inside of the Word file here or inside of the import. So any additional special formatting that you've got as far as that's concerned should update accordingly. So this is a good point that came up. When you update, it removes and replaces, correct? So if I manually change something in Revit, that won't stay. That is absolutely correct. And it's very similar to how the spreadsheet update works, right? If you make a change to the Word document or you make a change to the spreadsheet document in Revit, you run the risk of losing that change by updating it, okay? So notice there isn't an auto update here at the moment. You know, we've gone both ways about having an auto update versus a manual update, right? We've got auto update on the spreadsheet side, but a lot of people turn that off because they don't want it necessarily auto updating, or they've made changes to the document inside of Revit. That's fine. So if you make a change in Revit, you may not necessarily want to update that until you're sure that change has been made to the Word document. And there it came in. There we go. Yep. So, okay. And well, so that's it. I mean, that's really all that we have slated it to do at this point. You know, if you need to do a find and replace, we still have edit paths where you can go ahead and do that. There is, you know, if you update the options here to change your font sizing, because was a little off or you had missed it, when you put that in and hit OK, you run the update on the document again, it should inherit that, and you'll notice a little bit of refinement more than likely. And yeah, you can still work with your spreadsheets as you see fit. So if you need to go ahead and add additional documentation or Excel files to your projects, you most certainly still can do that. Let's see. And, you know, so this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is brand new feature, right? There are still things that we have on our feature list that we would like to get added. But if there's anything that you guys feel that is missing, we would love to hear that. We would love your feedback. And this is where this idea even came from. The ability to import Word files in came from customer feedback. So for us to know exactly what you guys are looking for and what we should be writing, we want your feedback. So if you can go ahead and if you have anything that is missing, feel free to let me know or let us know at info@ctcsoftware.com. And we covet your feedback. And we would love to use that in a future release. So the last little bit here that I want to point out is can you get your hands on this? So this came out in our 26.0 release. So if you're not using 26.0 yet, you won't have this feature. So if you would like this, go ahead and go to our website. And if you're a CTC customer, just log into the portal and download it from there. If you have yet to purchase a copy of the CTC BIM Project Suite, you can go ahead and get a trial from our website, or you can go ahead and get a trial from the Autodesk App Store as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this real quick. So on our website, let me pull this back over again. Under products for BIM Project Suite, you can get a copy. You can go ahead and request a trial here. And if you don't already have one, one thing I should also point out is that there are other tools out there that do this. And in some cases, you can't do it in Revit 26 yet because they haven't run it out yet. The big difference here is the difference in price. There's the other tools that are out there that do this are per person. I believe their costs are north of $1,000, and where ours is only $410, and you get all of these other products as part of that $410. Whereas the other guys, you're only getting the one import Word product. So there are, or maybe it's only just an image file. It's not actually bringing in the Word documents, right? So there's some other options out there. There's only a couple now that actually import the Word file, and ours is one of them. So, and you don't get all the extra good stuff that we have within our BIM Project Suite that you would by getting their Word import tool. So, but you can get your trial here. You can also, if you own it already, just go ahead and log into the portal and go to your downloads button that'll be over here on the right side, and you'll be able to get your copy that way. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a quick, make sure I didn't miss any questions before we move on. Nope, we're good. All right. Well, then that sums it up for today. So I hope this piques your interest, and that you were one of the many that requested this feature. And if you are, we're really excited for you to take a look at it. So if you can go ahead and run your updates. And if you have any questions or comments or feedback, we want to hear. We would love to know. But with that said, I'll let you guys go and get the remainder of your hour and say thank you for joining. Again, we're really excited and hope that you are as excited as we are. Thank you. See you next time.